See my PowerPoint?
We can. And we are recording. Good afternoon, everyone. We are so glad to have you here with us. Today, Dr. Hungwei Tseng, Senior Instructional Designer, will be talking about the Community of Inquiry model and how it can be applied to your course. So thank you for being here, Dr. Tseng, and I'll give the floor to you.
Thank you, Dr. Iman. And right now I will start my presentation. So let's move to the first slide. So when you are teaching an online course, for me, for us as an instructional designer, we review a lot of course and we see a lot of student feedback regarding their satisfaction of regarding online learning satisfaction and how they feel about the online course. So the question is that you can have a well-designed online course with relevant and professional content, and you are expert in the subject, but the course still can still be perceived as a negative experience by student. And the question is why? So does anyone have any comment or want to share their experience? Okay.
I'll share one.
Okay.
So in terms of looking at kind of just, how do I want to say this? So you can have a well-designed course, but the students not feel that you're responsive. And so even if the course is well designed and the content is there, the fact that the professor or the instructor is not responsive to students, they can still view that course as negative or like having a negative experience in that space.
That's so true because the instructor was not present or was not present in the course because they just dumped a lot of course content, like they expect students to read a textbook and maybe read other resource the instructor shared to the student, but the student didn't trigger their engagement, didn't engage in the course. So there is also a lot of lack of opportunity to interact or collaborate with others or share diverse opinion. And I think those are the most common reason why students have negative experience when they learn online. I haven't been not been a student for almost 10 years since I graduated from my PhD program, doctoral program, but I have a really different experience when I taking the online course instructional design certificate with Dr. Iman, and the instructor didn't give a good instruction and didn't give a clear navigation from the course. So I have a really bad experience taking that course. So I think that's because why students feel when they take in the course, a bad design online course. So next, I'm talking about what is community of inquiry model. The Garrison, Anderson, and Archer, they developed the model in 2020. In 2000, it has been 20 years since they designed the model, and there has been thousands and thousands of citations. And they use the model to describe a multiple type of online presence interact in an online course. And this model represents the most concise descriptive model for understanding online learning within an epistic engagement pedagogical approach. So right now I'm going to play a video and you will explain what the community increment model is.
Yes, yeah, I'll share as well. I'm not able to hear the volume.
Okay, so you
hear. We couldn't hear anything, Hungwei.
Okay, let me share you again. Okay.
Ms. Shawana Chambers, and today I'm going to talk to you briefly about Community of Inquiry model. Community of Inquiry describes the online learning environment in which a group or community of learners and teachers work together to better understand a discipline and the world around them. The Community of Inquiry model assumes that learning occurs within the community through the interaction of three core elements. Those three elements are the social presence, cognitive presence, and teaching presence. We will discuss those more in depth in the following slides, but first, we need to understand how the Community of Inquiry uses constructivism as a theory of framework. Constructivist principles champion a focus on the learner and the belief that all of the information and learning is conceptualized through their experiences with others in the learning environment. Resnick 1991, as quoted by Garrison, Archer, and Anderson in 2000, said, "Social context greatly affects the nature of learning, activities, and outcomes." One of the major aspects of the constructivist theory of learning is how a learner interacts with their environment. In terms of the Community of Inquiry model, the community is represented by the learners and teacher participating in the classroom environment. Inquiry refers to the process by which learners come into new knowledge and understanding. And to do that, to work within the process, learners and teachers must act through their social, cognitive, and teaching presences. As I mentioned earlier, the Community of Inquiry model hinges on three interconnected components. These are social presence, cognitive presence, and teaching presence. Let's talk about social presence for a minute. Garrison, Archer, and Anderson define social presence as the ability of participants in the Community of Inquiry to project their personal characteristics into the community, thereby presenting themselves to other participants as real people. Learners demonstrate social presence through a variety of activities like discussion posts, group projects, real-time activities, etc., in the online environment. While the model is focused mainly on discussion forums, recent developments in online learning have expanded the options for social interaction. Social presence is integral to online students' learning and has been considered a direct contributor to the success of the educational experience. It allows learners and the teacher to create relationships and facilitate thought exchanges in the online classroom. This is a major factor for furthering the cognitive presence and meeting course learning objectives. Cognitive presence allows learners to challenge misconceptions, expose peers to new ideas, and explore deeper understandings. Cognitive presence is the extent to which the participants in any particular configuration of a community of inquiry are able to construct meaning through sustained communication. Cognitive presence is a vital element in critical thinking. Garrison 1991 model said, the 5 phases of negotiation and knowledge co-construction are sharing and comparing, dissonance, negotiation, co-creation, testing, and application. Students participate in these 5 phases in the online environment, and the teacher facilitates their development. To make this happen, the teaching presence is necessary, which also rounds out the community of inquiry model. Garrison, Archer, and Anderson, 2000, defined the teaching presence in two distinct functions. The first of these functions is the design of the educational experience. This includes the selection, organization, and primary presentation of course content, as well as the design and development of learning activities and assessment. Designing the experience takes on multiple appearances. In K-12, it looks like the use of adaptive technology, the incorporation of online games, facilitating blended learning through learning management systems, structuring collaborative projects for peer review, and other avenues. The second function, facilitation, is a responsibility that may be shared among the teacher and some or all of the other participants or students. This part of the teaching presence often requires the teacher's social and cognitive presence to be working in tandem. Teacher visibility and questioning and stimming are two major paths to proper facilitation. Without a solid and continuously evolving teaching presence, learners would lack the guidance and structure to develop their own social presence. Without the social presence in the online classroom, cognitive presence ceases to function at its highest levels. Teachers must create an environment that is conducive to collaboration and intellectual risk-taking, and that can only happen if their teaching presence is established.
Okay, this video just showed the theoretical framework behind the community of inquiry, and it talk about how those inquiry, those three present connect to each other. And in sum, teaching present provide guidance on instruction, social present remove emotional distance and build commitment among learner, and cognitive present develop higher order thinking and meaningful learning as the learning community grows. So, did everybody have a question regarding this model? Okay, then I will continue to introduce each present one by one. So, teaching present include both the planning and forethought that go into building your course and what you do in the moment when interacting with your student. The teaching present starts with how you plan to design your course and how you design the learning content and implement your teaching when you actually teaching the course. The teaching present takes place in the form of course design and organization, such as how we want to student to navigate through the course content in Canvas, and through facilitating instructional disclosure and direct instruction. So in this slide, you can see there is several instructional activity the literature have suggests to apply the best practice to develop the teaching present in your course. The first is include welcome letter and video, and explain the link between learning activity and learning objective. Let's include the course learning objective and also the module learning objective. You need to break down the learning objective into a detailed module learning objective and let students know what the activity is linked between the learning objective and the activity they are engaging. And you can use continuous and authentic assessment strategy. Design a multiple assessment like a case study, group presentation, and also the formative and summative assessment to assess student learning. And you can provide timely and constructive and supportive feedback to students using the video and audio feedback in the grades the grade center, and also provide the feedback in the announcement. You can provide assignment example. Like a previous, you can share the finished learning artifact between group of students. You can also share the previous assignment to the student. So let's talk about the social presence in this slide. Social presence is defined the ability of participant to identify with the community, communicate purposefully in a trusting environment, and develop interpersonal relationship by way of projecting their individual personality. So here, social presence is not only building the relationship between the learner, but also building the relationship between the student and instructor. Not only share their individual personality, but also share their group cohesion. The social presence describes the learning climate through open communication, cohesion, and interpersonal relationship. And the social presence usually takes place when learners participate in computer-mediated communication, messaging, and interaction. For example, in the discussion board, and you can also using the announcement, and also using the instant message to communicate with the student. So here I'm going to share with you some instructional activity. At first, you can develop initial course activity. For example, using the ice-breaking activity and concept mapping and the goal-setting activity to encourage the development of swift trust. Because when you study in an online environment, at first you didn't know the instructor and you didn't know other students. So a swift trust is important to build first at the beginning of the course. And you can use the text-based instead of text-based announcement. You can use the video walkthrough, provide a video orientation to guide students how to navigate the course content and how to find the other resource and how to navigate, such as in Canvas, how to submit an assignment. And you can design activity for open communication and trust. And you can use the peer review for relationship building and knowledge sharing. And another activity is to create a collaborative learning activity. Design a small group discussion, problem-based learning, project-based learning, use a case study, and group presentation. In a group presentation, you can use the digital storytelling and use digital recording, asynchronize the presentation, or synchronize presentation using the team, Microsoft Teams. So let's talk about the cognitive presence. The cognitive presence is central to successful student learning because it promotes students' higher order thinking through interact with the student and also getting feedback from the teachers and digest their learning from the learning content. The quality of cognitive presence reflects the quality and quantity of critical thinking, collaborative problem solving, and construction of meaning occurring in student-to-student interaction and student-to-instructor interaction. Based on Garrison, there are 4 phases of cognitive presence. At first, learner recognizes a problem of a task, and then begin exploration by dialogue with others, via brainstorming and clarification. Then in the next phase, learners start finding solution to the problem in the integration phase. Either they can use the external resource or the resource the instructor provide to them. And then finally, they reach the stage of resolution. They find their solution based on the resource they are using. Then there are several instructional activities I would suggest for you to include in your course design. Design activity for critical reflection and disclosure and discourse. There is several technology or tool you can use, such as create a journal activity or using blog to ask the student to reflect on their learning. Another one is use authentic content and process scaffold to support discourse behavior. And develop grading rubric for discussion and course activity that reward desired cognitive behavior. And you can also include streaming video clip to effectively demonstrate procedures and help students visualize concept. And next, later I will show a concept mapping that is easy for you to help students have a visualization of the different concept. And as an instructor, you can reflect on learning at the end of each learning module, summarize the learning objective or learning outcome the student have learned and they should reach. What is the learning outcome they should achieve? So those are all three presents I've present here. And does anyone have any question so far? Okay.
One thing I will, I do think that these are definitely positives for any online course, but I also think that they're very, very, very applicable and specific for in-person courses as well. I think it's not just the online course. I think these are all really great practices and implications for any course.
Yes, I agree with that, and because those, like in the traditional classroom, you can see the instructor face to face. They can see the visual cue. They can have a body language, so it's more easier for the traditional course, the student to interact with each other. But if you don't, like in a traditional course, if you don't give the student summary and just show your professional discussion, the student also won't be learn any important concept from you. Okay. So any more question? Okay, let's continue on the slide here. Can you see my PowerPoint?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's not on full screen, but we can definitely see it.
Okay. So after talking about the three present, and several literature or the research have several suggestions of good principle to activate present in the learning environment. There are 7 listed in one research. The first one is encourage contact between student and faculty. And the second one is develop reciprocity and the collaboration among students, and encourage active learning in your course design. The fourth one is give prompt feedback, and it's not only timely feedback, but also need to be supportive. Like you can ask a question, ask the student what you have learned from this assignment, and also ask them, guide them to think through what other concept you should further to learn from this for further assignment. And you should also emphasize time on task, like give a student a clear timeline, how they should finish the assignment, and how to progress from their learning. And you should communicate with students with high expectation. Always encourage them to think critically and apply their higher order thinking skill in their learning. And the seventh is also important in the online learning community. You should tell the student to respect diverse talents and way of learning, because every student have a different experience on learning, or maybe they already have a job experience. So for them to talk about diverse voice and diverse opinion is important for them to improve their learning. So, and right now we have talked about 7 principles that can actively present in the online learning environment. In this diagram, I create a connection between 4 principles. I think is important in the online learning environment, and I try to connect those online learning activity with 3 presents. We have talking about the using the welcome video or audio feedback to communicate with your student. And this activity, and as long as also with the virtual office hour, can promote student and teacher contact, and also give a student a prompt feedback using these 2 activities. So to next, and you can also include an ice-breaking activity and ask students to do a mini lecture to connect the teaching and social presence together. And you can also use in online discussion or asynchronous interaction and develop a program-based learning group to help the student develop all 3 kind of person together just by decide those 2 interaction. Another good example is to use case study and role-playing activity to show the student the social present and cognitive present in those activity. Next, you can also use in the simulation-based learning to connect student with the social interaction and promote their cognitive person. The simulation-based learning has been utilized a lot in the nursing program and social work program and physics and biology program. So it's important to create a safe environment and apply a real world and a authentic environment for the student to apply their learning in an actual simulated learning activity. So is anyone want to share their practice they have used in their course that can promote those three kind of person? Okay. So have one used the mini lecture to mini lecture activity for the student to present their learning in their course?
So in one of the genetics courses that I teach, it's an undergraduate class. We have kind of workshops. So we'll have like a collaborative workshop where students will come in and kind of share what they've done on their project. And it's probably, it's kind of just like a progress update for me because I get to see where each student's at. But it's also an opportunity for them to ask questions because some of them they'll be running into roadblocks. And it's kind of a really good opportunity for them also to kind of do some peer learning and peer sharing because students are probably going to be having the same problem. So it's also reassuring that when they're sharing their issue or their question or their roadblock, that everyone's kind of like, oh yeah, our student will share, yeah, I got around it this way, or so we hold those. They're not kind of like they're very formal, meaning in regards to the students have to attend, but they're very informal in regards to how they're structured. But I've been teaching the class synchronous online, so we have online learners and in-person learners. So. But I'm sure it'll be different in the fall. But it's same kind of idea, though. It's kind of like that mini discussion, really kind of problem based. So your students are coming in to share where they've gotten and kind of helping everyone try to figure out how to get around whatever problem they've run into.
I think that's a good point because in online learning and apply a different learning theoretical framework. Right now, the student are co-creator of the learning material, and they are co-creator or co-construct their knowledge together. So the group activity and also the learning robot activity is really good example from this situation.
And it works perfect for the genetics course that I teach because it's actually a research project. So they actually select their topic, move forward with it, and then we do some bioinformatics experiments for them to look at a gene of choice. And so it kind of they each have their own independent ownership of their project, but then at the same time, different people are at different points, so they're able to really kind of use each other as individuals kind of keep moving forward with their own project. So I think it's it works for especially the genetics, the biology and the experiments that we're conducting to kind of be and I don't have it set up to actually be like a full learning community, but they are in groups to kind of help with to facilitate kind of like that intimate group dynamic, so that they will have some personal connections at the 5 to 6 person level. But yeah, I think it works really well.
Good. So anybody have other experience want to share? Okay, and then let's move on to next slide. So here I'm going to introduce another tools. It's called the concept mapping technology. So when you've been really wanted to present in your course, and it will start as you mean to go on, it's also important. At the beginning of the course, it's important to build a student and instructor and student to student relationship. And here I'm kind of just give you an idea how to use the concept mapping, have to have an ice-breaking kind of activity, because I saw this activity can develop all three kind of present just in one activity. So always at the first week of the course, we usually ask the student to review or to read the syllabus, what's important day for this course, and what is the learning objective they should take from this course. But after they reading syllabus, usually some people give them some like a 10-question quizzes to quiz their if they pay attention to the detail in the syllabus. But you can also create a concept mapping activity, and you can include some important component or element the course is going to learn in your syllabus, and ask them to create a concept map from those content or component. And let's talk about what are concept map. The concept map are visual presentations of information. You can engage students in answering questions such as, what is this? What is it like? What are some examples? And the concept map have been proved in several research as a powerful study strategy. And the concept map can help you see the big picture. And concept map help you chunk information based on meaningful connection. If your course is covering a bunch of chapter and a lot of concept, using the concept map can help the student to digest a small concept at one time, and also link those concept together as a big picture. So this is one example of the concept map. And in this concept map, it connects a different component and an element in the chemistry. So in the concept map, there are several powerful tools. If you only want to create a simple concept map, you can create a shared document in OneDrive and have a small group of people working together in a concept map. So, but in this tool, you can see here, you can create a one topic, and you can also create several subtopic. And in the subtopic, you can add a description, and even you can chat, and also can attach a video in a different topic. But I'm not going to talk to a further detail on this. But I will also show you a different example from this tool. So can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Beside the previous chemistry example, here is a digital example for the digital marketing online map. And you can see here, it can explain all the concept together. And you can see here, it includes a different marketing discipline and also different business system and blueprint. And even in the sub-concept here, you can also link a different concept together. So you see here, there's include 10 resource here, and you can explain And also you can just link using the concept map to link a different resource or website. So, and I find one tool is useful, but I only use the free trial version. And for the free trial, you can create up to 3 maps, the concept map. And like here, after you create the concept map, you will provide a lot of different type of concept map, like a flow chart, and org chart or tree org chart, and different kind of map template for you to select. So there is another way to use the my concept map for your classroom, and you can use the concept map to summarize the end of unit review. Either do it as an individual or group activity. At first, you can ask students to create my concept map about what they have learned, and guide them to focus on the key concept, relevant detail, and resource. And you can also ask the student to create an initial concept map, and you can further ask them to add a different component as long as they further learn from more learning content or learn more learning concept from the classroom. And you can create a map at the beginning of the unit with what students already know and what they expect to learn. And you can ask them to do some comparison between the different concept map. So this is the tool I just showed you. It's called MyDomo, and the tool can provide a real-time collaboration, and it can provide a real-time chatting function, and even when you create an assignment, you can give a direct feedback in the student's concept map. So even also on the right-hand side, you can see here, you can create a collaborative assignment. You can assign students to work on the concept map together and create such a good group activity. So, is anybody have you seen the concept map before? Okay.
So I have to admit, I have never used a concept map formally in any college teaching, but I taught high school science, and concept maps are, I mean, it's something that actually was supposed to be ingrained and included in our lessons. So we had to have like concept maps, we had to have keywords. So, but that was something that was kind of laid out very formal in our learning objectives and our standards, if you will.
Mm-hmm. I think the concept map can work as like a summary tools, or maybe after each learning unit, and have an activity for students to link their concept together in this unit and what they have learned. And I think it's easier for them to link the concept together, other than just ask them to write it down in Word, and it's clear for you to know their understanding about the content. Okay. So that's all my presentation. And here is a reference if you want further know about the community of inquiry model. There are several papers you can read here, and I would say the community of inquiry model have been studied thoroughly, and I believe there is more than 1,000 of paper there in different discipline and different subject, and also apply it to assess a different learning design, and just apply it to the different teaching strategy here. And for the MyDomo, here's the website for that tool. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing.
Does anyone have any questions for Dr. Tseng?
Okay.
I have one question. Dr.
Mhm.
Dr. Singh, is this something that you're interested in? I mean, obviously you implement this and stuff with your teaching, but is this something that you're interested in exploring in the classroom in terms of a research question and context for, like, scholarly teaching, or I'm just curious about your interest in context.
Mm-hmm. Do you mean the community of inquiry or the concept map?
A little bit of everything. I guess the community of inquiry would be like that would be kind of like the larger scope, right? I mean, concept maps could fit within the realm of you looking and using community of inquiry, but I'm actually curious about the community of inquiry, the overarching model of that.
Yeah, and actually, I have I have done some presentation on the community of inquiry, but I also have one publication about the community of inquiry article, but it's about, I try to connect the community of inquiry different present with the Blackboard tools, and because I write that paper before we switch to Canvas, and yeah, I would say those three present are most interesting. I would say component to study further, to apply a different technology or different teaching strategy in your course. So it's worth to study more.
I think Ashley is really, what she's really doing is asking you if you want to work on some kind of project with her in her classes.
Well, I was just asking in terms of it's something that you've actually done research on and you're interested in terms of looking at it in the context of a classroom or application. But I do see in terms of your interest for online learning as well, trying to find tools and other things that would enhance the community of inquiry model in a classroom. But I mean, that's what I was asking. I just was curious. I know you had mentioned you do have interest in looking at it for, learners.
Yes, and because for me, I don't have a chance to teach a big group of students. So I really would like to have, if you or other instructor have some interest in doing a big project to study community of inquiry or different, like a effect teaching strategy, I would like to work with you.
Okay. Thanks. Thank you.
So, any more questions?
If there are no more questions, I'd like to thank Dr. Tseng for being here and for presenting the community of inquiry. I hope we all learned some things from it. I'm a big fan of this framework myself. If you'd like to work with Dr. Singh or discuss this more, please don't hesitate to contact us, or you can contact Dr. Singh directly at hsingh@jsu.edu. And thank you, Dr. Singh.
Yeah, and this is my first time to present this topic, and I really enjoy listening to you to share your actually experience when teaching the students. And I also like to collaborate with you if you really like to implement this present and to see how those present can affect the student's success in your course.
I'll definitely reach out. I mean, I have a number of different course-based undergraduate research experiences. The one genetics cure that I'm teaching, and it has elements of COI. I just have never actually heard of the COI model. And so we are currently, I have an IRB in place at JSU to examine the impact of student selection of their actual cure project and how that influences their perception of science and research, and how that influences their connection to science as like a learner. So, but I really like the COI model, because when I was looking at it, I was like, yep. Because it's really the cure, the course-based undergraduate research experience is actually kind of an extension of the COI. It's just, it's kind of embedded in kind of all of those parts. But for me, so I don't have anything built right now to kind of examine that, but I would definitely, I'm definitely open to looking at elements of COI specifically. I have not heard of the model until I think we chatted about it last time we did our one-on-one for the online course. You had mentioned, you were like, hey, I have interest in like teaching research as well. So, or scholarly teaching research. I'll touch base.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, and thank you for everybody joining me and in this presentation, and I enjoy talking to you.
Have a good one. Happy Tuesday. I almost said Thursday. Happy Thursday.
Yeah, it's only Tuesday.
I know, but that's how my mind is.
Everyone have a good afternoon.
Bye, Cinnamon.